Hello and welcome to another Gramps tutorial. In this video, we're going to look at the places view and see how to set up our place hierarchy tree so that we can use places a little bit more effectively in Gramps. And we're also going to compare that to the address tab that we can find in the people editor. So let's begin. In the last video, if you remember, we had a few records that we used and we created a few events and we created the most specific place that was listed. So for example, we had Pickaway County, which was in Ohio, and then we also had a church which was located in Origsburg, Schuylkill, Pennsylvania. So what we actually want to do is fill out our place tree here so that we can actually nest these places underneath the more general places so that we actually build the place location just as it would read in our record. Alright, so the first thing that we're going to do is I'm going to show you how to set things up very general and then go very specific. And then we're going to do the opposite and look at specific to general. So first of all, if I go to add and place, this is going to give us a brand new place editor window. So nothing here is typed in for us yet. So I'm going to type in the USA and I'm going to choose the type as a country, and that's all I'm going to do. I'll say OK, and that is going to create a new place for us. So we now have USA as a country. Okay, so within the USA, I want to put some states that I need. All right, so in this example, I am going to do Pennsylvania. So I'll select USA. I'll click on the plus to add a new place. I'm going to type in Pennsylvania. Now, as you can see, since we selected the United States before we clicked on the plus, it already added the USA down here for enclosed by. What enclosed by means is that this location is going to be in a higher level than what we're creating now, and this will be nested inside of USA. And we can tell that by how it's typing it in the title up here. So the newest location will always be on the left. So if we say OK here, and as long as we are in the place tree view, which is up here, the first kind of white icon here next to the configure the active view. Alright, so if that's selected, we're going to see things nested underneath each other. Now if we had the other view, it's just going to list them all probably alphabetically, and that is not so helpful when we have hundreds of locations in the end. So I like to be able to do this. It keeps everything nice and organized. Now one thing you see, we did not choose a state. It says unknown. So we can always go back in here just by double clicking and we can fill that in. Okay, so the next thing is we're going to add the next more specific place in Pennsylvania that we're interested in. So I have Pennsylvania selected. I will click the plus, and now you see we're going to start adding something right here before that comma. So we're going to type in the county. Schuylkill, Schuyllkill, and that is a county. Alright, you can see it's going to be enclosed by Pennsylvania. And once we say OK, there it is. Alright, so now we're going to add the city or township. This is actually a borough, so Origsburg. And if you're not sure if it's a city, township, borough, village, Google and Wikipedia are your best friend. So let's see, this is a borough here, and if the type is not listed for what you would like to enter, you can always type in your own. So we'll say OK, and now we've created another level, and that is as far as we need to go. So St. John's Reformed Church in our record is listed inside of Origsburg. So now all we need to do is figure out how to get this location inside of here. And all we need to do that is select the more specific location. Enclosed by tab will already be selected when we get the new window. So all we need to do is choose the share button. And this is going to allow us to stick it inside of another place. So we can either traverse these little arrows here, or we could just type it in here, and we'll see that in a minute. So we'll say OK. Now we're going to get this reference editor. Basically what this is asking us is there a specific date where this applies? So if St. John's Church is not always in Origsburg, we can put either like before, so we could type in before and a date, or between a date, 1900 and 1910. Gramps will accept all of that, and it will actually figure this into our tree. So if we have an event that happened in 1911, and what we would have to do here, if we wanted it to change, we would have to create another place and use a date that applies to that. So if we had a, we could say after 1910 for a different one. And what our events will actually do, and Gramps will do for us, is it'll actually look at this and say, well, what date is this event? And it will apply the correct place for it. We'll probably look at that in another video with more advanced topics. For now, this should be all you need to get started. So, all right, so now we have St. John's Reformed Church, Orwigsburg, Schuylkill, Pennsylvania, United States. So now we have a hierarchy built just for this location. Now, the good thing is if we ever have another event that happens at this church or any of these locations, we no longer have to create them. We just have to select them through the place selector. So up front, it's going to be a little time consuming to go through and create everything, but once you've got it, you'll notice that it gets easier as you go through. Okay, so what we're going to do now is let's create a place going the opposite way. So for example, we have Isaac here, and the marriage license that he and Sarah created in their family was in Pickaway County. And so we just went to Pickaway, but let's actually learn how to do this a little bit differently. So let's click on the plus here. All right, so we're going to type in Pickaway, and we're going to choose county. Now, remember, we already have Pickaway in our place view, but we're going to create a new one just so we can see what happens if we accidentally create two of the same places. All right, so Pickaway County is inside of Ohio. Okay, so we're going to go from specific to broad now. So instead of enclosing this through the place view, what we can do is just click on the plus to create the next location that we would like to enclose Pickaway inside. So here we would type Ohio. We can choose state. Okay, Ohio we would like to be enclosed by the United States. So we can go to enclosed by again. If we need to go up another level, we can create another one, and it'll give us a new window. I've already created the United States. Therefore, I just need to click on share, and I can just choose whichever place that I want to enclose it by. So I want to close it inside the United States. I will say okay. That was the United States. If we look at general again, now we see it's enclosed by the United States. Okay again. We can now see we've got Pickaway, Ohio, United States. All right, so now if we say okay one more time, that will create that place for us. We've got that little hierarchy there built, so most specific to least specific. We'll say okay. And now we've got Pickaway, Ohio, USA. Okay, now this should kind of give us a little red flag. We've got one that says Pickaway and one that says Pickaway, Ohio, USA. So obviously we've accidentally created two places, because what happens in the place view if you do it correctly and you only create one instance for each location that you are referencing, it should have updated for everything. So it didn't. So that means we need to go look at this. Okay, so if we go back to our place view, and in one way to expand everything really quickly if we want is we can right click and go to either expand a group or collapse a view group, or expand all or collapse all. So I want to expand all. All right, so we see we have Pickaway here. We also have Pickaway here, and that's actually, we meant to use the same place there. We just forgot we created it. So what do we do there? Do we need to go back and re-reference everything? Well, no, Gramps actually can help us here. So if we select both locations that we accidentally created, so how to select two, we can hold down Control. So we're going to select one, hold down Control, and select the second one, and then let go of control. And that will select 2 places for us. And then up here there's a green arrow, and it says merge. So if we click on that, it's going to ask us which place we want to keep and which we want to merge everything into. So we choose the one that we want to keep. So obviously this one's the one that is better developed. It's already enclosed by everything. If there are certain details we want to save from the other one, we can choose those. All right, and then we'll say OK, and it's going to merge them all into one. And now what we can see, if we go back to events here, is that it's been updated for us. So we now have Pickaway, Ohio, Pickaway, Ohio. And the other thing we can also see is if we go here to the places again, and we look at the references, we can see that both things are listed here. So that's one of the cool features with references under the places view, is that we can see every single event that took place in a certain location. Or maybe, for example, here at church, we could see every single person that was baptized, or that got married here, or that was had a funeral, whatever. We can check that for our entire tree. So, think of other places, for example, like a cemetery. If we set it up correctly, so we have the cemetery name, then maybe the city, county, whatever, we can see every single person that's going to be buried at that cemetery. If we place a burial event inside of each person's person editor. Okay, so that is pretty much all that I want to show you as far as the places, but I do want to show you one more thing, and that is I want to show you the difference between the places and the addresses. Okay, so you might be a little confused as which one to use and why. I will actually advise that you don't use the address tab at all. It's not that great. The one time where I will use the address tab is if I have like current mailing information for a living relative that I would like to keep in touch with. Maybe it's somebody who is interested in genealogy or something as well. That way I've got it in here in case I ever want to contact them. But let me show you the difference here. So, for example, let's just go 1, 2, 3, 4 Main Street, and we'll just say Ohio, Townsville, obviously I'm making this up. Country is USA, okay, and we can also put a county here, so let's say, let's put it in Pickaway County. All right, so we have this location, and we'll make up a zip code here. Okay, so we've got a place, all right, and let's say we've got multiple people living here, okay, so I'm going to use the clipboard here and copy this location. All right, so we say okay. All right, so we've got a place. So let's say that Sarah also lives here. She is Isaac's wife. All right. All right, so now we have that location stored in here for both of them. Okay, but let's say I typed it wrong. It's not 1, 2, 3, 4. It's 1, 2, 4, 4, for example, okay? So I can go back in here, go to addresses, and I can edit the address, no problem, 1, 2, 4, 4, okay? And that's fine, I'll move on. Now let's say one day I want to come back, and I'm actually looking at Isaac instead. Look at addresses, it's still 1, 2, 3, 4, okay? So you can see from this is that each address is unique. There's no reference like we have with the places. So if I have a copy of this somewhere on anyone else and I need to edit something, I need to edit it in every single place, and that is not helpful at all. The other thing is that there's no referencing with addresses, so I can't see who lives here with him because there's no reference tab. We didn't create an object or an event or anything that we can reference. So that's why I actually shy away from using the address tab. Instead, how I would represent this information is I would create a residence event. So you'll probably run into this sometimes with like census records and stuff. You may want to actually create an event to kind of track where the family is living. Now, the one problem that I run into every once in a while here, and I've kind of been rethinking this, is how to create this reference event. Do I create it for a family? Do I create it for an individual? And I've been moving towards creating the event for the individual, so each person will get their own residence event, even if they all live in the same place. And the reason why is because not everyone will live at the same place at the same time forever. So, for example, Isaac dies when Sarah is pretty young, but she continues to live there for a while, and then she moves out, and maybe her family still lives at the family home. I'm not sure, but I can't put a range on the residence location then, because Isaac's gone, and yet if I do a family residence event and include as long as Sarah lives there, it's going to look like he's still living there even after he's gone. So that is why I create a singular residence event for every single person. So there's actually a resident event here to pre-select. And we can put the date. Now we can put a range here. If you just have one date, for example, maybe 1900 census, it said he lived here. That's fine, you can do that. But you can also do like between 1900 and 1940. So say you got through a couple census records and you saw that he lives at the same place all 4 times. Then you can just do a range. You don't have to create multiple events, which I kind of think is pretty helpful there. All right, so let's go ahead and create a place really fast. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Now what I do here is I take it piece by piece and make it very specific. And that way we're going to be able to sort it in our places easier. So this is the number. I will enclose that by a street. So main street. Type will be street. Enclose that by the city. So we said Townsville, which is the city, oops, up here, enclosed by, and here I can just choose pick away. So if I just type in first few, okay, there we go. And then we'll say okay to build this hierarchy here. So now we have 1, 2, 3, 4 Main Street, Townsville, Pickaway, Ohio, United States. Okay, the only problem here is there's a comma here. You used to be able to edit this and get rid of it. You can't anymore, but again, it's not a deal breaker. This is way better than using the address tab, so I like to do this regardless. Okay, so in this time, I can, let's see, now I will have to go to the places view in order to grab this place, I think. So I'll go to places. I'm going to expand all to get very quickly. All right, so I'm going to take the most specific. And now let's go back to Sarah. And we're going to create a residence for her. So residence, date, you know, we can put in whatever, 1900. Okay, here I can actually just drag and drop the place right here. I could go through and select it as well. That would work as well. All right, residence of, okay. And what happens now is when we save that, all right, so we have the residence here. Okay, but what we can do is we can go into places now, and when we'll have to reselect it. It won't update until we reselect. But now we can see that they both live here. Okay, so we can see this event. Now I didn't put a description here. Let's see, residence of. And as you can see, I can also very quickly edit the events that are listed here too. So I can check any place here, whenever I do this type of thing, and I can see the residence of every single person or whatever events in here. So maybe I would attach them to a street versus an address. Probably a census record isn't going to include the street number. It might just include the street or the city or something. Maybe probably just the township, but I can attach everybody that lives there, and then I can actually see, you know, which family members would probably know each other through where they live or the, you know, where they're buried or where they had religious ceremonies at. The other benefit of this, not only the reference editor here that we can see all of the references and edit any of them that we need to, is, for example, if I made this typo again. It's not 1234, it's 1244. Okay, I can edit it here. Now if I go back into Sarah and Isaac, all right, so again, we're going to have to click off of it to refresh it, but now you can see it's already been changed for Isaac and Sarah. Okay, so it's much more forgiving as well if we use just the places view to set up any location. Just set it up this way, be very specific as you can be, and just move out. And so either do a street number or do some type of company name. I could also, instead of doing the street number, I could just use the company name here or the church name and put it on the street it is or something like that. But that's why you should really use places over addresses. It's way more helpful. So if you have any other questions, please leave them in the comment section below. Or if you have any suggestions, please let us know what type of videos you'd like to see in the future. If you liked this video and found it helpful, please like and subscribe. That tells YouTube that these are good videos and you'd like to see more of them. Good luck with your genealogy, and thank you so much for watching.